Fernando Sor's study, Opus 35, number 22 in B minor, which is also study number 5 in the Segovia edition, is one of the more famous etudes that guitarists work on to help build technique. This study really focuses on 3 points. The first is balance. We have a beautiful melody in the top voice that we'll talk in great detail about. And part of our issue is that we have to bring that melody out against an arpeggio accompaniment. So the second issue is obviously this arpeggio. We have a fairly intricate right-hand pattern that the thumb will change string locations, that we have change in focus in what finger's playing on what string. So that is an issue in itself. And the last issue is that it's a chord study. There are a limited number of chords used in this piece, but practicing switching between them will help make the piece easier to play. So let's go ahead and start with the first technical issue, which is bringing out the melody. When you look at the score, we see 2 sharps. This tells us that we're in the key of D major or B minor. In this instance, we're in B minor. And that all Fs are F sharp and all Cs are C sharp. Now let's find the melody. The melody occurs, for the most part, on beats 1 and 3 of each measure. We're in 3/4 times, so there are 3 beats in each measure, and the quarter note will equal 1 beat. So if you notice, there are stems that go up on beats 1 and 3 of each measure. Those are our melody line. I'll go ahead and demonstrate just the melody, and I'll count through the beats with you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That gives you the melody for the first 2 lines and really sets up how we want to practice. We need to hear that melody as a single singing line that is very legato, very connected. What that'll do is it'll put that melody in our ear, and as we start to add the other elements, these chord changes and arpeggios, we can continue to bring out that melody. Now, in the right hand, whether you use rest strokes or free strokes, you still want to make sure that that note is brought to the front, that you're really following through and bringing that melody out. So now let's take a look at the second difficulty, the second complexity, which is the chord structure. So the first 4 lines have a very limited number of chords. If you're not familiar with these shapes, then the first thing I would do is take a moment and learn them. So I'll walk you through these shapes for the first 4 lines. We start out with a B minor bar chord at the 2nd fret. That moves to an F sharp 7. We go back to B minor briefly. We go to an E minor chord and to F sharp major. The repeat of that material goes back to B minor, back to F sharp 7, to G major, to A7, to B minor, to F sharp major, and back to B minor. Take a moment and familiarize yourself with those chord shapes. They will set up the majority of this piece. So the last technical element that we want to focus on is this arpeggio pattern. So if we take our B minor shape, the first chord of the piece, we can also identify that the melody note, that D, is the high note of that B minor chord on the 2nd string. Now what we want to do is we want to practice the arpeggio pattern, bringing out the melody. So we have thumb and middle, index, thumb on the 4th string, index again, melody on the 2nd string, back to index on the 3rd string. So if I play it in context, we have, and you notice I'm emphasizing the melody note so that it rings through and connects as if it was a vocal line. This technique will be repeated throughout the entire piece. I'll slowly play through the first 4 lines and demonstrate how I'm emphasizing that melody by following through in the right hand. Combining all 3 of these elements, bringing out of the melody, the chord progression, and the arpeggio, will give this piece that singing quality. So let's go ahead and talk about the second half. The second half begins with much of the content that we had in the beginning. Again, the first thing we're going to do is identify the melody. As in the first half, we see the upstems on beats 1 and 3 of most of the measures, and those are our melody notes. So we start out F sharp, E, D, D, C sharp, D, F sharp, E, C sharp, D, D, C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, D, D, C, C, G, A, C, B, B, A sharp. And I would continue that for the entire second half, really listening to that melody so that as I combine it with the arpeggios, that we can really bring it out and hear the lyric quality of this piece. We start out again with our B minor chord. We go to our F sharp 7, back to B minor, back to F sharp major. Now we have a D chord, to F sharp 7, to B minor, to F sharp major. And now we get some really cool chords. B7, going to E minor, A7, going to D major, A minor 7, to a really interesting chord, an E sharp diminished chord, to F sharp major. Then we do a reprise of the beginning, back to B minor, and F sharp 7, B minor, F sharp major, E minor, F sharp major. The last 2 lines give us the most challenge with a chord progression. We start out with a B minor with an open D string. We go to a C sharp 7 to an F sharp 7 to a G major chord. We go back to an E minor chord, B minor, F sharp major, and resolve on a B minor. We first identify the melody, we identify the chord shapes, and then we slowly add the arpeggio, bringing out the melody. So I hope you enjoy working on this piece. This is one of my favorite studies by Fernando Sor. Audiences find this one very musically satisfying, and it's a fun piece to play, but it also helps us with this idea of balance and bringing out the melody and a more complicated arpeggio pattern, and of course the idea of all these new chord shapes. If you haven't worked with a lot of bar chords, that'll be a great challenge for you that then you can expand with future studies and pieces of music.